Hello everybody. Hi my friends. This is Amanda with Molly Cole Creations. We have another video here for you, and this is one of my favorites because we are cutting some wood. Let's get started. Alright, so here we are. We are outside. We are on my driveway, and we are getting a bunch of wood cut down for these projects. I'm using a miter saw. It's kind of a mini miter saw, I guess you'd call it. My husband calls it a pocket saw because it's much smaller than his, but I can lift it and move it around myself, so that's why he got it for me. It's much easier for me to manage than his big one. But in this case, I'm cutting a 5.5 inch wide cedar fence post, and it's a little too wide for the blade. So I do one cut, and then I flip it over, and then I line it up in the same spot and do the second cut. Occasionally I do have to do a little trimming, which is what I'm doing right here. Now this is a new board. I did purchase these. I bought two for these projects in this video. And it is, when they're really long, I have to use that little thing you keep seeing me twist. It helps me keep it tight so it's not so like top heavy with the length of the board. And so you'll see me kind of adjust that up and down. Once the board gets shorter, I don't need it quite as much, but I do rely on it to help me keep things level and straight during cutting. So in this first project, we are making some cute little wall pockets. So these are just the simplest project you can make. Get some scrap wood. You can make them any size you want. Mine were about 10 or 11 inches. And then I went in the house and I cut down some drop cloth for this one. Is what I'm using. I just cut it to fit, and I am putting this cute little, one of my favorite stamps that I have. It's an IOD stamp, Iron Orchid Designs, but I love it so much. So I am just lining this up where I want to place it. I'm pressing down really firmly to make sure that it has a good press, and then I will pull that up, and I want to put that stencil, the green sack, I believe it is, stripe, or whatever that stencil is to my left, on it as well. So these stamps come with what they call a mask. So I pulled out the little mask for the bee, and that ensures that you don't disturb or disrupt the already stamp that is already on there. So I am using the stamp pad to do this stencil. I'm just using like a little white makeup sponge that I use for painting sometimes. Oh, BRB, there's my phone. Now I am making two of these. So for the second one, I had found these, I found two of them actually. They were placemats on clearance at Hobby Lobby, and I just really liked the print or the fabric on them. And so I'm going to use this on the second one. And so I'm just trimming it down and cutting the seams off. There is like a middle piece and a back piece for this placemat that I don't need. So I'm just trimming all of that off. And what I didn't show you that I meant to show you, but it's nothing important, you didn't miss much. I painted them both of the wood pieces black. And that's not on camera, but that's okay. You've seen people paint. So again, I just cut this to size, and on this one I'm going to apply one of my favorite lemon transfers. So I pulled out my book of lemon drop, I think it's called Lemon Drop transfer book, and I've had this thing for over a year, and I still have so many lemons to choose from. So I just love it. And I am one that really enjoys decorating with lemons. So it has served me well. I do think that this particular transfer book is now discontinued. But anyhow, you could put anything on this. Literally anything. But if you haven't tried to use a transfer on fabric, you should, because it works out really well. It's super easy. I couldn't find the transfer stick that the transfers came with, but anything will do. I just pulled out kind of it's a cut up piece of a stir stick, and I'm just using that to apply the transfer and make sure it is good and set in there. And I cut up a couple of different pieces, just tried them out to see what was going to look best, what was going to fit. And I wanted to cut enough fabric, or enough of the placemat and enough of the burlap, or I'm sorry, it's a drop cloth, it's not burlap, to leave a slight gap, because I am going to stick some florals down in there. And so you want to just very, very little gap, but a little bit of one. And I am using a staple gun to attach these to the back, so that's easy peasy. And I'm just going to trim it down. I'm leaving the backs just kind of as it is, because they will either be hanging or setting up against something you're really not going to be paying much attention to the backs of these. I do try to make these corners nice and neat. There aren't a lot of bulges, and so it doesn't look, funky. If you have to cut some of that down, you can do so. I just kind of folded it in and made it as neat and tidy as I could, so that it had a really nice appearance. And those seams that I trimmed off of the drop cloth and the placemat are going to come in handy. Those do not go to waste, so always save those. I'm going to be using them in the end as the hangers. And that turns out really cute. And then I pull out these, I guess maybe they're furniture tacks. I don't know exactly what they're called. I'll try to link them. I've had them a really long time. I'm not even sure where I got them. If I had to guess, it'd probably be either Hobby Lobby or Amazon. But anyway, these are just more for visual appearance, just to add a little bit of interest. They're not actually holding this on. As you saw, I stapled everything, but I do think it looks really cute. And so I'm just hammering 2 in on each side. And then for the other one, I do the exact same thing for the one with the bee. I just hammer them in. I'm kind of eyeballing it. I'm not actually even measuring it. This one was pretty simple because of the stripes on the fabric, so it wasn't entirely necessary to pull out and measure. But then at this point, I guess I decided I needed another lemon. So I am adding just one more piece of transfer, and these can easily be layered, and it is flawless. You can't even tell they were 2 separate pieces, and they're just so beautifully done that you can mix and match and layer and cut them up and do all the things with them. And then I do use those same tacks for the little straps. And I didn't use staples on this, so this is actually functional. You could use staples though. You don't even need these tacks. They're, as I said, just kind of an added thing that I wanted to do. But I just put one on each side, and it goes right through the fabric and right into the wood. Easy peasy. And there you have it. There's that one. And the other one, I haven't added the strap yet too, apparently. But I do the same thing. And this is just the seam from the drop cloth. I always save those. And you get a huge piece of drop cloth for, I don't know, $12, $15. Not a lot. But anyhow, I guess I felt like you would want to watch me do this twice. I'm not sure why I didn't just cut this out, but it is what it is. And then I realized I hadn't painted the top of this, so I did hurry and touch that up and make that look a little bit neater. And then I am going to just finish that last tack, trim it up. You can see I've already kind of tested this one. I just shoved in some random florals that I had around. I may change that up with something that I actually go pick out for it specifically, or I may put these in the little shop to sell. Whether I keep them or not, I'm not sure yet. But they both turned out super cute. Such an easy project. Oh my gosh, you could do this any type of scrap wood. Dollar Tree even makes wood somewhat close to this size, those planks they have now. So very inexpensive and very, very simple, and really just a lot of fun to make. I could have made like 10 of these. I thought they were so much fun, and so many ways you can do it. And I'm not even sure which one I like best, but I guess maybe just because I love them both. You'll have to let me know what y'all think about it. On to project number 2, and we are back outside. For this one, we are using a 1x4. And you know, they call it a 1x4, but it's actually not 4 inches wide. So always be mindful of that when you are doing your measurements and you're cutting. It's just shy of 4 inches wide, but that's what this board is. And again, this is a new board, and it is long. So I have to use my thing there. Oh, I should find out what that is called. I keep calling it a thing, a twisty thing. I should find out what they call it. But anyhow, what we are making for this one is it's a box. And for me, I'm making it kind of a utensil holder, but it really could be used for just about anything. It has 4 little compartments. But it is just as easy as anything else. It's just straight cuts. There's just a few more cuts and a bit more. You actually do have to measure on this one. And I did put up my measurements on the screen, but you could really do this just however you would like and whatever you're going to use it for. I think I'm going to do another one for like markers and pens for my kids. But I have brought it in the house. I'm going to nail it together. I am using a nail gun. And this one, my husband got me too, because his uses a big, like, air tank or compressor, I guess it's called. And mine can use the same battery that my saw uses. And I have several batteries, so I can just kind of rotate them, and then I can take this nail gun inside, outside, wherever I need it. However, I will say the ones with the battery, they are much heavier. And like, I don't have the muscles, so I do struggle here and there with certain angles on it. But I absolutely love it. It makes things so much easier nailing together. You could use screws on this. You could even use wood glue. If you didn't have a nailer, you could just even use just nails and a hammer. But this is the route I am going. And you can see there are some pretty rough cuts there, so I do take this out and sand it when I am done getting it all put together, because there are some definite rough splinter things happening there. Now the bottom for this, I could have gone two ways. I could have put the bottom in first and made it flush with all the sides, but I chose to put the bottom on after and make it kind of tiered. I don't know how to say it. It almost is just like a separate layer, and so you can see in the camera there, it's a bit of a step up, I guess. That was just a personal choice. You could definitely measure this differently and put it in flush with the sides, which I did consider, but in the end, this is the way I went about it. So I'm getting this sanded down really good, and then I am doing it the easy way and using some spray paint. It's this white Rust-Oleum, I think it's in matte. And yes, I did get spray paint on my grass. It's okay. Next time we mowed, it was gone, so everything is okay. And the next time I spray painted, I did use something bigger so that I didn't continue doing it. But it is what it is, but it did not damage our grass. So I did also sand it after the spray paint was dry as well. Now back to my lemons. There's definitely a theme in a lot of my summer decor. So back to our lemons, I'm just figuring out which ones I want to use and placement for them, how I want it to look, and just kind of, trimming things down. This is the beauty of these transfers, is you can make them fit just about on anything you want. You could group a whole bunch together if you had a larger, like a frame or, some kind of wall art that you wanted to do with it. But yeah, that is what I'm going to do here, using that same cut up stir stick tool that I've been using, and it goes on paint. So good, so simple. And you will want to seal after when you put it on wood. On the fabric, I didn't seal it with anything. Those won't ever be washed nor get wet, I wouldn't think. So I'm not too worried about it. But with this one, I will seal it. It'll probably be outside occasionally. As I said, I'm using it as kind of a utensil holder, maybe for like a family barbecue or just any kind of get together, just for forks and spoons, knives, and whatever other utensils, maybe some straws. I don't know, whatever we need. But I think it is going to be perfect. I cut a little stencil with the Cricut out of stencil vinyl. Just a very simple welcome. I am using the stamp pad instead of paint for this. Number one, because it was already out, and I didn't want a real stark black on here. I wanted it a little bit lighter, I guess, maybe almost gray, and I think it gave the effect I was going for. So I was really happy with that choice, even though it was kind of a lazy choice in the moment, but I ended up really thinking it was the best route to go for what I envisioned anyhow. So just finishing up, pulling those little letters off. Now I actually, in the end, after I had filmed all of this, I did put some handles on it, some little black handles, and that is not on camera. But I did end up doing that. And this is project number 3. We are making one of ourselves a little wooden crate, toolbox, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. There is the cut list, and The reason I bought 2 of the fence pickets was because I needed the tops for this project. So you'll see why. So for the 2 tops, I cut the tops off of both the pickets. I do have extra. You don't actually need 2 for all of these, except I wanted the shape of the top of the picket. All of these projects in this video, anyone can do. And anyone who is an actual woodworker is probably watching this and just dying, because I am not experienced. I used to kind of rely on my husband to cut wood for me, and he's really good about doing it, but I kept finding myself wanting something cut when he wasn't home, and I couldn't get the stuff out. We don't have a workshop, so we keep everything in the garage. And eventually he started teaching me things little by little, and then he got me my own set of tools that I can manage, like this saw and the nail gun, and I just really enjoy it. And it is something I mess up. I have to recut things. I don't measure it properly sometimes, or it's just a learning process. But every project that we have done today have got to be the simplest projects you can do. And you don't need a miter saw even. You could use a miter box, or just a handsaw. Have these cut at your local hardware store, home improvement store. But anyhow, it's just something that I really enjoy. I like being outside. I like the smell of wood. I like the sound the saw makes, just all the things. So it is something that I hope to one day be a lot better at. That's for sure. But for now, I'm learning and I'm enjoying the process. But don't ever think that you can't. Just try it. And every now and then I still do have to have my husband help me. There's some stuff I either don't have the strength to do, or it's easier with 2 people. But anyhow, I am lining this up, trying to figure out if I want to put the sides in within each other, if that makes sense, like that, or if I want to put them on top. I do decide to put them on top of each other, then I measure. This is just another one of those spindles that we tore off of we have a bunch of them from some old chairs that we picked up off of Facebook Marketplace. And then I did use the nail gun to nail it all together. We are just inside painting. I am using, it's DIY paint, and it's in the color Avery. And I thought this would be a really nice summery color, but could also just be used year round. It could even be used at Christmas. You could put jars in this. I just ended up putting some floral in it. And I'm going back to this same stencil that I used on one of the little wall pocket floral holders. And I do this on all 4 sides. And I don't show myself doing that, I just show you the one side. But I do tape this down to keep it secure and get some white paint out. I'm doing this with white. I did have to sand this wood as well. Those fence pickets are pretty rough as far as wood goes because they are so inexpensive, and most of the time it does require some sanding. So I did do that before I painted. And once I get the stencil on, I do just use that same brush and do a little bit of dry brushing around the entire project, just to give it a little bit more interest to my eye. It's completely an unnecessary step. but it's just what I wanted to do. And when I pulled this up, I did have a couple of little, it wasn't a perfect job on my part, but they were really easy to just clean right up. I just grabbed a wet wipe and got rid of those little spots that I had a bit of leakage. And after I get all the dry brushing on, this little box is complete. And I love how it turned out. I want to make more. That's the thing. Whenever I make something that I really like, I want to keep making them, but it's kind of like, how many of these can you really have, right? So I will probably make another one and put one of them over at the little shop that I sell things at. And of course, keep one for myself. And I may go ahead and grab some little mason jars. This could also be used for like a utensil caddy with the jars, and I may do that too. So we'll see. But there it is, all finished and complete. This is our last project of the video, and it is also going to be super simple and super easy. I am using just the remnants of that same cedar fence picket. The measurements that I used are listed. You can do this however you want with all these projects. My measurements are just what I used. You can do any measurements you like. Now, I saw someone do this, I think on a Facebook page, and I thought it was so cute that I wanted to try it. And I made it a little more complicated on myself than it needed to be, because it does take some angles. And so I had to kind of play around with the right angle on the roof. So we're making like a little birdhouse planter type of situation. And it could maybe actually be a birdhouse. I don't know if you wanted to hang it, but I'm using it as a planter. And you start out with the four sides, obviously. And then on the front, you're going to cut, it's 15-degree angles. So I'm just finding the middle of my block there. So I know kind of where to put the cut with the angle. And this piece wasn't as hard as the little roof piece was to figure out. So that was pretty simple. That's what that looks like. But now I need two little pieces to match that and the other type of angle to meet the roof pieces together, if that makes sense. And that is where I struggled a bit. So I did have to do a couple of different cuts to figure that out for sure. But now that I know, it would be, when I make another one, which I will, because as I said before, when I make something I like, I want to just keep making them. I'm using I believe it's a 2x2 or a 1x2. It's a 1x2 for the little roof pieces. And those were just scrap. I already had that. I didn't buy that. So I kind of measured how long I needed each of the little roof pieces to be. They were about 5. And I first cut the same angle I did on the little house, and that didn't work. And I don't show you every try and attempt before I get to the end, because it's, like I said, this did take some trial and error. So what I figured out in the end is you actually have to adjust the saw on the back side to tilt it to make the angle that I was looking for. And you'll see when it's all put together what I'm referring to. But, as you know, it was my first try, and I haven't done a whole lot with that type of angle. But now it's super easy, and I can make all kinds of little houses, which I do like to have those little houses around. They're just really fun to paint and spice up your decor with, and especially, even for every holiday, they're good on tier trays. So I'm excited that I did finally figure this out, but as you can see, it kind of went on and on and on, and I had to kind of step away and use my brain and actually think. But I did figure it out eventually. So we are just getting all of this nailed together. It started raining. I had to come inside and get this nailed together, and then in between rain breaks, I went out and spray painted it. I don't think I have that filmed because, like I said, it was windy and I was trying not to be out there very long. But I used the same Rust-Oleum spray paint in the matte finish for this birdhouse. However, I didn't get very good coverage, so you will see me giving it kind of a second coat with just regular white Rust-Oleum chalk paint, because I didn't get the best coverage and I didn't have time for multiple coats out there. But the spray paint is nice to even just get a first coat on because it is so quick. And it dries pretty fast too, so that's always nice. And I did it in white, as I said, but after I was done, I kind of wished I had done more of a fun color, or I even thought this would be fun to put some transfers on. I kept it very simple in this case, but you could do all kinds of stamps even, would be cute. So this can be made in so many different ways, and I also don't show you, but I had my husband get his drill, like a really big drill bit that cuts holes, and he did drill a hole in the front of it for me. Just, it's just for appearance. Like I said, I'm not using this as an actual bird feeder or bird house, but we did want to put the little hole in it, and he helped me drill holes in the bottom, because I may actually put this outside with like some actual, real plants. I think it'll be really cute sitting out on the porch with actual plants. I ran out of nails, but that's how simple it is to put another block of nails in. It's super easy to use. And there are those little roof pieces that gave me so much grief. And so that is the angle that I struggled with so much, was to get those two ends to meet properly. And so when I finally figured it out, I'm like, oh geez, this is too easy. Why did I make this so hard, right? But now I know. And that's how you learn, I guess. You make a bunch of mistakes, and then you realize you really made it a lot harder on yourself. But it is what it is. Anyhow, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope some of y'all enjoy working with wood as well. And if you're nervous to try it, you really can't lose. Just try it and enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy it, have somebody else cut it for you. That's what I used to do. I just wanted to be able to do it on my own and not have to wait. My husband's at work a lot, and by the time he got home, sometimes it was just too late to have him cut things for me. So yeah, now I don't need to wait. But I'm just giving this a quick second coat, just making it look a little bit nicer. And there she is, all finished. I think it is so cute. And I gotta say, I'm pretty proud of myself on all of these projects. I do have some more wood projects coming up. I'm making my own tiered tray, and then some elements for the tiered tray. So stay tuned for that, and I hope you all are having the bestest summer ever. Things are crazy with all the kids home. Finding myself not getting things done as quickly as I used to be able to, but it sure is fun having them home every day. And you all get out and do something fun and enjoy your summer. And we will see you all soon. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for spending your time with me. Love y'all.